Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Pidana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Pidana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana, Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana, Jamanatira Vanachadi, Jamanatira Vanachadi, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana, Jasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana, Jamanatira Vanachadi, Jamanatira Vanachadi, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Madhava, Kunja Bihari. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Astatara Satasi Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning, Canto 10, continuing with text 13. And where's the volume? 10, 28, 13. What's our topic? Anybody remember?
Krishna says Nanda Maharaj.
That's the chapter, but where are we with that?
The residents are discussing how Krishna may be God, and even seeing how Krsna and all of his associates were respecting.
Microphone. Sorry to startle you. Keep going. No, don't say it again. Just keep going.
And they were thinking that Krishna may be God, whether he will be able to give us the residence in the Vaikuntha. And Krishna, understanding that thought, that they want this, so he shows them the form, where he takes them to the place where
He didn't do it yet. We're not there yet. He's going to take them to the place where he'll show them the spiritual world. So right now he's contemplating their situation. Text 13. Lord Krishna thought, certainly people in this world are wandering among higher and lower destinations which they achieve through activities performed according to their desires and without full knowledge. Thus people do not know their real destination. So we heard, and we're going to continue to hear, this word jana can mean people in general, and even more specifically, it applies to the residents of Vrindavan who are thinking the way that they were thinking, as if they're like everybody else, quite ordinary folks, wandering here and there and not knowing their destination and thinking, will Krishna take us to his place? So we're going to continue with not a lot. It's Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Goes like this. The meaning is this. Other persons do not at all know their real goal. This means the best of yogis and gyanis. But more than the inhabitants of Vaikuntha, I cannot give up my eternal devotees who cannot bear separation from me for even a moment. They are complete in their goal. I must fulfill their desire, though it arises out of curiosity or out of prema. And then there's the other reading. My servants, jana, the cowherds, wander about in pastimes with me, higher or lower, in the waves of prema, performing activities of service with desires centered on me, and with knowledge of bhakti, always existing with me. They know Vaikuntha and Atma. I will fulfill the desires of my dear devotees, since that desire includes everything dear to me in terms of knowing and the object of their knowledge, which is Krishna. So now comes Jiva Goswami's commentary covering this verse 13 through the next two verses. The Brajavasis were taken by Krishna to his own planet. Quote from Skanda Purana. Krishna eternally plays with the calves and cows along with Balaram and his friends within Vrindavan. Thus, not only Krishna resides in Goloka, but Balaram, Rohini, and others as well. He previously showed the residents of Braja this place because Naveda Svam Gatim Brahmam. This is from this verse, text 13. people do not know their real destination. Their destination is where they already are in the spiritual world connected with him. He continues, of course, this place was present in Vrindavan, but he had them all enter a huge chariot. That's with his Padma Purana description that he took them to that place. Paragraph. After the journey to Kurukshetra, the people of Vraja crossed the Yamuna and lived far from Vrindavan because of grief. Thus it is said that after killing Dantavakra, Krishna crossed the Jamuna. Note, one does not have to cross the Jamuna to go from Mathura to Vrindavan. That's a detail. He went to be with the Brijbasis, but it wasn't in Vrindavan because it was where they were staying. The chariot and Dwaraka came from Vaikuntha. That was take them to the spiritual world. And Krishna went to Dwaraka. By wish of the Lord, the chariot appeared in this manner in order to show his powers to the devatas and devotees who have conceptions of the Lord's greatness. To astonish everyone, it appeared without detecting where it came from because of its speed and brightness. Other explanations are not acceptable. It is described that they live there eternally. It is useless for them to go far away to Braja and attain an eternal place according to the logic of, quote, if you have honey in your cupboard, why go to the forest? Unquote. Now I don't exactly understand the logic. I mean, the inference is, if you have what's available in the forest, why go to the forest? Because where do you get honey? So, he already had, so why did he have to go anywhere? All descriptions of attraction for Gokula, no, he's using this terminology. Gokula means in this world and Goloka means in the spiritual world. So, all descriptions of attraction for Gokula and the indications of the longing of the people for the Lord by Uddhava would be useless. Uddhava had a longing to be in the association of these most exalted Brijbasis. So, the place Gokula and the place Goloka are the same. That's the point. No one, not only would they be useless, but distasteful as well. It is explained that the people of Vraja went to Kurukshetra with expectations of meeting Krishna again. And the Lord says in that chapter 82, where they meet in Kurukshetra, quote, rendering devotional service to me qualifies any living being for eternal life. But by your good fortune, you have developed a special loving attitude towards me, by which you have obtained me. Not just eternal life, Brahman realization. Okay, so text 14 continues. Thus, deeply considering the situation, the all-merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, revealed to the cowherd men his abode, which is beyond material darkness. So that the phrase gets repeated many times. Tamasa param. Tamasa param. Material darkness, param, beyond. And then there's also this svam gopanam. Svam refers to Krishna's own gopanam, the cowherd men, or the cowherd people. Purport. It is clear from this verse that the absolute truth dwells in his own eternal abode. Every one of us tries to live as comfortably as possible, surrounding ourselves with peace and beauty. How can we, in the name of, quote, logic, begrudge the Supreme Lord, our Creator, the supremely beautiful and comfortable abode, known by people in general as the Kingdom of God? Vishwanath Chakravarti writes, thinking, I will show the superiority of Vrindavan by giving them realization of Brahman and Vaikuntha. He thus showed them Brahman and Vaikuntha. Separating the cowherd men from Vrindavan for a few moments, he showed them Brahman and Vaikuntha. He did this because he was most merciful. That is, he wanted to show them that the sweetness of Vrindavan was superior to Brahman and Vaikuntha. Paragraph. However, if they achieve Brahman realization with Sayuja or merging, then it would be impossible for them to come out of it. How would it be possible for them to taste again the sweetness of Vrindavan? Because the Lord is Vibhu, or all-powerful, he could take them out of Sayuja Mukti and Vaikuntha, which are both beyond matter, tamasak param. Jiva Goswami writes, he showed them his abode, Goloka. Manifestation of material transformation is rejected, The place was beyond Prakriti, Tamasak Param. Tamasat refers to Prakriti, as in, he's quoting Brahma from Brahma's prayers. What am I, a small creature measuring 7 spans of my own hand, enclosed in a pot-like universe, composed of material nature, the total material energy, false ego, ether, air, fire, water, and earth? The abode of Krishna is beyond. Tamasak Param. Sanatan Goswami. Krishna thought, or considered, or decided in this way, being the Lord, and also because he was most merciful. There was no other reason than great mercy. He showed his form, Svam Lokam, to the cowherds. Now here he's equating his form with his abode. But in his abode is his form also. It was beyond ignorance because he was full of all powers, Bhagavan. This was easy. He was all-pervading. Even Brahman is dependent on him. He was the master of the cowherds, controlled by their prema. This was also the cause of his thinking or deciding. And then he comments, the next section discusses the last 3 verses of this chapter to explain Svam Lokam in this verse. Text, verse 15. He showed a place superior to the material world of Brahma. The phrases are arranged according to greater cause being later. Lesser cause, greater cause is last. He, H-I, means certainly or because of. The word yat excluded that they saw the Lord. Verse 16, the word cha means certainly being raised up by Krishna, they saw their swarups. They were completely absorbed in this, with Krishna as his object. Akrura had realized Brahman previously. This means that Brahman is included within Krishna, being his angsha. Interesting. An angsha of Brahman, an angsha of Krishna is Brahman. This incident shows the Lord's mercy, power, and pervasion in regard to devotees. And then verse 17, seeing Krishna, the form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, like the sun, with its mass of rays, in the planet of Brahman, there was no doubt. He was praised by the Vedas. Paragraph. According to the interpretation of the request, for Brahman, or the Lord, these verses can be taken either way. 1. Showing Brahman, Swam Lokam, or his Swarup, or showing Vaikuntha, his planet, Swam Lokam. He showed the planet of the cowherds, Gopanam, Goloka. Because it was beyond Prakriti, it must be Vaikuntha, or Goloka. And here's reference to this verse, text 14, in Jiva Goswami's commentary on Canto 10, Chapter 1. So it's the introduction to the pastimes of Krishna, Chapter 1. The second line of verse 10.1.2 states Parikshit's desire. Quote, please describe to us the activities of Krishna, who appeared in this world from his place known as Goloka in the Yadu's dynasty, since he was a great devotee, Yadu. Sridhar Swami's explanation of the word Angshena, that is, Krishna is an expansion of Vishnu, has been used for the common people in the assembly. The Gita 9.25 says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrataha. Covered by my maya, I do not reveal myself to all people. The phrase can also mean, this is Angshena, he appeared with a nature not easily understood by all. Or it can mean he appeared along with Balaram, his Angsha. Such meanings must be given because otherwise there's a contradiction to the statements in the Bhagavatam, which is this verse. Krishna revealed to the cowherd men his abode, which is beyond material darkness. And then later in the chapter, text 17, they were amazed to see Krishna there, surrounded by the personified Vedas who are offering him prayers. And here's a commentary by Jiva Goswami on Brahma's prayers. That's chapter 14. Text 22, it makes reference to this verse. Citing Vishnu Purana, this whole universe is an energy of the Supreme Lord, like distribution of light from a fire situated elsewhere. And Svetashvatara Upanishad, know that Maya refers to his nature, that's Prakriti, and the Supreme Lord is master of that Maya. So we're going to get this really Jiva Goswami-esque description of what Maya and Yoga Maya is, and Prakriti, and the terms are used in different ways at different times, but here goes Jiva Goswami. Prakriti refers to Swabhava, or nature in the above verse. So we heard about Swabhava last night. Swabhava is one of the things that Yashoda saw within the mouth of Krishna. And Swabhava is something that Lord Brahma saw when he saw what he saw in chapter 13. And it's one of the things that Brahma saw in Canto 2, chapter 9. It's in the spiritual world, but every living entity takes a form in this world because of their Swabhava. So it's connected with the spiritual world or the spiritual potency of Krishna. And based upon our Swabhava, we get a body, gross and subtle. And that's, our psychophysical nature. Boom, we were born. And we got a gross and subtle body covering. And it's the body and mind move according to a Swabhava. So, the sentence again. Prakriti refers to Swabhava or nature in the above verse. To make the knowledge useful, the intention is to say, quote, know that it is not synonymous with the Lord. That's Maya, is not. Since knowledge would be incomplete from lack of full description by simply stating a definition. The meaning is established with the sentence, quote, but the Lord is the master of Maya. So Maya is not disconnected from Krishna. By saying this, it is understood that the Maya is under the control of the Lord. This also indicates that the Lord's condition is self-contained and natural. The statement is similar to saying, quote, Ravindra is the possessor of Maya. Being external, that Maya is not intrinsic to the Lord. Say it again. Being external, that Maya is not intrinsic to the Lord. This is like, it's Ramanujacharya's teachings is Vishishta Advaita. That is, everything that's over here is an attribute or Vishishta of the Lord. And then it becomes manifest. So he's disagreeing. Being external, this Maya is not intrinsic to the Lord. That is shown in the example of Maya being like light spread out from a fire. Since Maya is external, the Lord is not contaminated by its faults. This is a Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva philosophy. Compliments of Jiva Goswami. He quotes Canto 1, Chapter 7. Arjuna says, you are the original Lord, the controller beyond material energy. You are situated in your spiritual form, being one with your spiritual energy and separated from the material energy. The spiritual energy is described as superior in Vishnu Purana. Quote, I offer respects to the Lord's superior energy, which cannot be described by words or the mind, beyond knowledge and the knower. Comments, as the Lord's spiritual energy, it is intrinsic to him, most inconceivable, performs many functions, and is thus equated with the Lord. So his internal potency is none different from him. Svetashvatara Upanishad. He has no body and no senses, material. No one is equal to him or higher. His superior power is manifold. His actions are naturally revealed with knowledge and strength. Paragraph. In stating that the Lord has no equal or superior, it is understood that his spiritual energy is intrinsic, inconceivable, and not dependent on other objects, and without superimposition. of other objects. That's a Mayavad doctrine. Superimposition. You know, the argument, terminology goes like this. Krishna is Brahman covered. And there's a superimposition upon Krishna that, gives him form and attributes, and but it's just a it's non-real. So he's arguing against different ideologies and focusing in on what the Bhagavatam is saying. Upadhi is the Sanskrit word. Superimposition is the common translation. It's explaining how Mayavadis take the word upadhi as superimposition upon something. I mean, the example given in scripture of what upadhi is, it's like a puddle. Been raining a lot, so there's puddles all over the place. And so there's a puddle, and beneath the puddle is the earth or the pavement or something. So the puddle is a covering or superimposition or upadhi upon what it's resting upon. So their idea is Brahman is all that is, and anything else is just an upadhi, like, false. It's not what the thing is. The thing really is Brahman. So he's saying the spiritual potencies of the Supreme Lord and his form, etc., that's not superimposition. Based on Shvetashvatara, Upanishad, and other scriptural references. This Shakti is called Yogamaya in the 3rd canto, description of the Kumaras going to Vaikuntha, and is called Chit Shakti by Sridhar Swami. Madhvacharya in his commentary says, commenting on the Shvetashvatara Upanishad verse, those who know the meaning of words define Maya as the Yogamaya, Maya, and Ichcha Shakti. So there's different aspects to this Maya. The reflection of Maya, the actual Maya, and the Lord's desire potency. So based upon the Lord's desire potency, Yogamaya does stuff. And based upon living entities that are rebellious, then that Yogamaya expands as Mahamaya and covers living entities, but it's one energy. Making reference to another scripture I'm not familiar with, Shadbha Mahodadhi says, here's the Sanskrit, Swarupa Bhutaya Nitya Shaktya Maya Kya Ya Yuta. Because the Lord is endowed with his eternal Shakti arising from his Swarup, eternal Vishnu is called Mahamaya, but it should be properly understood what that means. As proved by the Shrutis, the word Maya, like the word Yogamaya, refers to the Lord's spiritual energy. Ramanujacharya in his commentary shows the symptom of Maya to be knowledge from Nighantu, and then a colon, Maya, Vayunam, Jnanam. Sridhar Swami in his commentary on 3.5.25 says that Maya is obedient to the glance of the Lord. In his commentary on 3.5.23, that's 2 verses earlier, Sridhar Swami says, Atmecha, or the soul's desire, means Maya. In other words, it has different meanings depending on context. This is made clear in later verses from Canto 3, Chapter 5. Bhagavan, Lord of in Maha Vaikuntha, in his Svangsa expansion as the Purusha, full of potency, at a certain moment of time, places the jivas into Maya, which became agitated by the gunas. This is describing creation, Canto 3, Chapter 5. Impelled by time, from the invisible Prakriti arose Mahatattva, composed of knowledge in Sattvaguna. This manifests the universe, situated within itself, and destroys ignorance. A little complicated. Now, going over to chapter 13, this is Brahma Vimohan. Balaram calls the energy of his brother Vimohini. That Maya, or Mohini, Vimohini, means mercy, because Vishwa Prakash, it's a dictionary, says that Maya means either mercy or deceit. So internal or external, it has both meanings. Another text, Trikada Shesha, says, Maya means illusion or intelligence. Again, in Brahma Vimohan, the word Maya simply means influence. So we're getting this panorama of different, depending upon context, how Maya might mean something. Since the Lord has no fault in revealing Maya, and the examples show this, the word Maya should have the meaning in those particular instances according to Sridhar Swami. All is in agreement, although it's saying so many different things. It's context specific, and the Lord is using his potencies according to context or the situation. In this section, the word Maya means the Lord's inconceivable energies. And he quotes Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avastata. I pervade this whole universe by my form, invisible to material senses, since I am the cause. All entities are situated in me, since I am their cause, but I am not in them, since I am completely detached. If the Lord does not touch Maya, his presence there is illusion. That place is illusion. That is true. However, the superior energy of the Lord is a manifestation of his Swarup in Vaikuntha and other places. He's like really getting into it. I mean, what was shown to the resident of Braja when he showed his abode. Quoting 2.9.10, that's this chapter where Brahma's getting his realizations of the absolute truth. There is no influence of Maya at all, what to speak of its products, such as material elements. In Vaikuntha, the inhabitants are fully dedicated to the Lord and are worshipable by the devas, asuras, and devotees. Now this verse. Hari revealed to the cowherd men his abode, which is beyond material darkness. Paragraph. This is now Brahma Vimohan, chapter 13, the next two quotes. When Brahma became bewildered about what he saw and was no longer able to look at these forms, which were inconceivable expansions of Krishna's power, self-revealing, proved by the scriptures through negation of matter, and which were beyond matter. Krishna, understanding his bewilderment, immediately removed the covering created by his energy. And then 2 verses earlier, the forms all had eternal, unlimited forms full of knowledge and bliss, which were one form. Their glory was not even to be touched by the Atmaganis. Of course, he has his own way of saying things. So that's the end of this little complex description of what was being shown. That, overall, there's a few things. From the previous verse, there's the word jana that can mean worldly people, and it can mean the residents of Vraja, his people, his jana. And the Maya covered people and the Yoga Maya covered people. Covered by Maya, people don't know. And there's different ways of not knowing. So there's different potencies. The Mahamaya potency and the Yogamaya potency. Commonly in ISKCON we use Mahamaya to mean the bewildering material kind, and Yogamaya to mean the bewildering spiritual kind. But the keeping it really simple because it's really complicated. Maya and even Mahamaya can refer to his own internal potency, which is not different than him, because we're hearing this language, there's something external to him, like Krishna never contacts the illusory energy. It's under his control, but it's under his control by the agency of his internal potency. So although it's remote control, it doesn't happen without his sanction or his Ichcha. So his Ichcha Shakti, Yogamaya, Mahamaya, and it's all one, right? There's a oneness of all things with Krishna. Even, bad stuff. Bad stuff can't happen without the potencies of Krishna letting bad stuff happen. But bad stuff is like, it's forgetfulness of Krishna. That's the bad stuff comes about because of that. And then there's those who are forgetting Krishna, like the residents of Braja, just because of this sweetness feature that they're in. They think of themselves in totally humble way, that they're like, worldly people, covered by ignorance, moved by karma, going higher and lower positions. Will Krishna take us to his abode? We'd like to see his abode. So he shows. And, it's kind of like this double talk, that they're already there, but they're going to go there. There's prakat and aprakat. They're doing pastimes, they're engaged in pastimes in the prakat feature. But there was a time when the prakat feature wasn't there, but they're eternally in the aprakat realm. So they're of the Goloka realm, the spiritual world. They're situated there. And then they're doing this prakat Leela with Krishna for his pleasure and to attract our hearts and minds to his abode. And then he withdraws everything. Now you see it, now you don't. So, but it's not, but it's eternal. So back to this. Yogamaya is also eternal. And we know from our Bhagavad Gita study, there's 5 principal topics of Bhagavad Gita, and one of them is Prakriti. So Prakriti is eternal. But it's a different kind of eternal than the Yogamaya. It's also now you see it, now you don't. But Krishna is showing his spiritual realm, and then they don't see it because That's a pastime. It's his mercy feature, showing through mercy what they want. And they see what they see. They see they're there, they see Krishna's there, they see the personified Vedas honoring and praising Krishna there. They don't see that in his prakat, but it's there in the aprakat Leelas. It's far better than a hallucination. Prabhupada speaks about this, about, in this world people take opium and LSD because they kind of want to escape from and experience some hallucination, but it's not some hallucination like that. It sounds quite mysterious and mystical and like, wow. And it doesn't stop. In this movie, the Hare Krishna movie, I remember seeing that poster of Prabhupada smiling and holding his head, and it's Gargamuni's voice narrating, stay high forever. And people think, wow, this person is really high, he has to hold himself down. That's how the LSD people viewed what Krishna consciousness might give them, is stay high forever. Like, a hallucination that you just stay out of this miserable place and go to the hallucination place. Stay high forever. But it's not a hallucination. It's not, adjustment of the chemicals within our body and the neurological system being affected by chemicals. It's not that kind of thing. It's a different position of consciousness. And we're getting a picture of what that position of consciousness is. It's not so dissimilar from our lives, embodied lives with families and children and occupations and things. But the consciousness is so different. And again, Krishna is revealing these things to attract the hearts and the minds of souls in this world to the spiritual world. It's one of his purposes. And to give happiness to his eternal associates, which he's always doing anyways, but in the form of pastimes that even unqualified people can see and hear about and remember. And give us subject matters to hear and chant and discuss. I'm finding, just like Prakash commented, by hearing these pastimes, even when chanting japa, his mind is going to those pastimes. Otherwise our mind is going to go to something. Distracted mind is going to go to something. So Krishna's pastimes. Or like I shared yesterday, Krishna was only 7, and a child that's only 7 is pretty short compared to adults. So how is he going to hold up Govardhan Hill with, they'd have to crouch down or something like that, because the 7-year-old is so small. He didn't get a big body to hold up the hill. 7-year-old body. So he stood on a little mound, enough that they could be under the hill. They weren't bothered. He's just, by his own intelligence, he can figure out ways to steal butter, and he can figure out ways to hold up a hill, and he can figure out ways to kill Putana, and he can. Just as his potencies are unlimited and inconceivable, and he can do whatever he likes. Doesn't even have to. He could just make Govardhan Hill float. He doesn't have to lift it up. Just performing pastimes for the pleasure of his devotees, and for our audition to hear and chant and discuss. Remember, to help carry us to the spiritual position of consciousness again. Remind us of what we have forgotten. So let's see if there's some discussion. 8:17. Yeah.
I have a question.
Do we have a microphone?
Yeah, like while you were explaining, this term came out, planet of Brahman. So I have never heard of that.
It's our Acharya's language to say his abode is all spiritual. One can say, Vedanta tattva vedas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti, the verse. So, the Brahman is Krishna's abode. Krishna's abode is of Brahman. It's of the spiritual, non-dual nature. So that's the planet of Brahman. That's the meaning. Fully spiritual, not material.
And I have one more question. Like you were explaining that Krishna showed those all those Gopas, his planet, which is beyond material darkness.
Yes.
So then this Goloka Vrindavan, where they were living.
There is what?
Where they were living.
Yeah.
So that was also a spiritual
Yes.
planet at that time.
Yes.
It was beyond material darkness.
Yes. But they were under the influence of Yoga Maya, thinking differently. We're wandering living entities like all the other living entities, and this lifetime, blah blah blah. But we've been in higher, we've been in lower, we've been all around. What's our destination?
So the current Vrindavan, the current Vraj Bhumi, is that also beyond all these?
Well, there's the covering and there's the dham. And the dham is there, and the covering is there. Okay?
Thank you.
Krishna's pastimes are going on. We can't see. But qualified people can see. If Krishna wants to show, they can see. Not only they can see, they can participate.
Actually, I have one more question.
Okay.
So the question is like that when I read Srila Prabhupada's books, especially with the kids,
Especially
with the children,
with the children.
and the purports.
Okay.
So it comes like the way you were also repeating that this world is full of miseries, and so when I read with them this statement again and again, Srila Prabhupada has covered this point again and again.
Yes.
So I feel little bit uncomfortable. Like I myself at times feel like going into depression mode, or like this world is full of miseries and all. So how do I, but at the same time I have full trust on what Srila Prabhupada says. So how do I feel like that? Then I start feeling that no, this world is full of so many good things also. So how do I take it and how do I explain them? Sometimes
Okay.
I just skip these lines when I read with them.
Well, for yourself and for the children, from time to time you can remind yourself and remind the children. In real simple terms, Prabhupada said, I'll say it twice, I like it. One of the primary duties of a spiritual master is to instruct the disciple thoroughly that it's abject futility to try to find happiness in the material world. So, knowledge and detachment. But if one thinks there's happiness over here, in the senses contacting sense objects. Misery. Misery arises from that expectation. It's not the objects and it's not the senses. It's the expectation. It's the mind is the place where misery occurs. So the misery is not in the object or the senses contacting the objects. It's in the mind. And so it's part of the spiritual master's duty is to detach his student, disciple, hearer, one he's reaching out to, let go of that expectation. Now, going back to, are there pleasant things in this world? There's senses contacting sense objects. There's something that happens. There's a buzz, or whatever you want to call it, that says, yummy. Is it? Is that what happiness really is? Is that what pleasant really is? The senses contact an object and it goes buzz. So the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, that's the senses reaching out into the field of the material energy looking for enjoyment separate from Krishna. Happiness. That's what happiness is defined as. I mean, not explicitly, but that's what a sensation. The senses contacting something, and it's nice. Whatever the object is. So, I mean, as I'm speaking, I'm thinking of a conversation in Boston with a teenager in a classroom setting like this, saying, "How do I help my friend understand about not eating meat?" Because she doesn't want to hear it. Because her argument is, it's yummy. Her words, her friend's words. So is that the basis of what we do? Is it's yummy, so it feels good, do it. That's called hedonism. And so if it feels good, is that why we do stuff? Because if you understand, it implicates you in the misery that covers what real happiness is. It's the wrong definition of happiness. Now, supposing it's not, mode of goodness person and they're vegetarian or vegan instead of, so is that, what's wrong with that? It's not like there's anything wrong with that, but it's not right either, because it's not connecting connecting one with what real happiness is. So how do you detach? So these statements that Prabhupada makes again and again is to, in principle, to detach us from the misleading conception that there's happiness to be found in fruitive activities, to do something, to get something, so you can be the enjoyer of that something. In Rupa Goswami's language, anasaktasya vishayan. No, excuse me. Anyabhilasha tushunyam jnana karma janavritam. So karma is to get stuff to become the enjoyer. That's fruitive activity. And that's the world, that's this bhumandala. It's characterized by fruitive activity. Detachment. Otherwise, it's continuing. So now, how do you deal with your own depression thing? You like feeling sad. It's just detached from the expectation that there's happiness, and there's certainly mode of goodness. Whatever. Let's just say your quality of a teacher of children. That it suits your nature. There's a happiness for you, but the real happiness is you're doing this for Krishna. So that's the bhakti principle. It's the same. One of the questions you asked some time ago, I still remember it. I'm struggling with cooking for Krishna. Because I'm for so many years, I'm cooking for my family. And I like cooking for my family. But now I have to transition to cooking for Krishna. So it's like teaching children for Krishna. That's real happiness. That's the real standard of happiness. And so the lesson of detachment is doing those things that are enjoyable for you. It's also bondage if it's not done with the bhakti principle driving it. It just binds one, karma mishra bhakti. So it's teaching you to go beyond that. It's not like punishing you or shaming you or something. So back to one of the primary duties of a spiritual master is to thoroughly instruct the disciple the abject futility of finding happiness through fruitive activity. And that's what he's doing. So with children, it depends on the child and their age and things. But that's something in principle they need to understand. Like this little girl that, I don't want to give up eating hamburgers because they're yummy. So in ways that kids can understand, here's the lesson. There's other reasons that we do things besides it's yummy. Supposing you find, this is what I said, tell her, supposing you found out that human flesh is more yummy than hamburgers. No, why not? Because the principle is yummy. So there are other considerations to make besides it's yummy. So what are those other considerations? Well, I don't eat my own species. But other species, it's okay. Okay, that's the principle. That's good. Are there other considerations? What about... So it's not the basis for making decisions and how you live your life. There's other principles to consider. That's like a starting point for children, depending upon the child and their, sensibilities. Some children get the principle very quickly. And some children and adults don't. So it depends on the circumstance. But the principle needs to be made clear. Why are these statements there? It's to help us detach from bondage to material existence, birth after birth, which we're pulled on by attraction to sense objects. And it's yehi samsparsha jabhoga dukkha yonaye. That's what happens. You're expecting happiness and you get misery. And it's really easy to demonstrate it.
Can you please give an example, like how you said it is really easy to demonstrate it?
How easy is... Well, as I was speaking, I was thinking of there's a devotee in Bombay, and I think he's a medical doctor, and he titled the presentation in Hindi. I don't know the Hindi words, but a little bit of pleasure and a lot of suffering, and gives the whole the attraction, the allure. And here's what happens. Here's the civilization in which we live. With, violence, depression. So it doesn't mean there aren't good people that are living more the mode of goodness than otherwise. But the nature of the place is, the solution is not just being the mode of goodness and there isn't misery. There is a sensation that says it's nice. Try it, and you probably have. Try to explain to somebody, thou shalt not kill, a Christian. They don't get it. It goes round and around, and it just comes back to, it's okay. You know, very good people, intelligent people, proper people, good manners, good education, good this and that. They're pervasive. They just bought into it. On what basis? It's yummy. I mean, they don't even think about it. It's not like, you don't think about it. And if you're asked to think about it, you know, anyway. I'm not directly answering your question. Give an example of, you know, how hoping to enjoy leads to misery. And you let go of the hope to enjoy, and you're in another space. You can be, your intelligence is more free to consider what's pleasing to Krishna. It's 8:33. Any others in the room here? You have. I'm looking at Amara. You always have a few. You're okay? Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Maharaj, in that continuation to Vrajabhumi Mataji's question, so you mentioned that some children get it, some children don't, and even with the adults, when you explain things. So I'm also feeling the same when you explain things in multiple ways, asking them to repeat. I also say that present in different ways. Still, you know, they don't get. Is there a problem with the teacher that
No.
or how can I train them or do something to
Well,
move them forward?
By good example and by consistency. You have something?
Yes.
Okay, here's the microphone.
Maharaj, you mentioned the swabhava of it. When we are in the spiritual world, the swabhava changes, and that makes us get a subtle and gross body.
I didn't say Swabhava changes. I said Swabhava drives the getting of a body. Swabhava can change, but that's not what I said. The soul has, so you know, let's go into the body of Mahavishnu and its cosmic annihilation time. Living entities are there in his body. Karma is, because time is withdrawn, karma is suspended, guna is suspended, Swabhava is suspended, everything is suspended animation. And then zoom, the living entities are carried by the glance of Mahavishnu and time energy. Swabhava is still there and starts getting stirred or activated by time and contact with Prakriti. So then Swabhava is there, but it's not manifest yet. It's just being activated. And then, so through passage of time, the elements are there, and then we're awarded a gross and subtle body. So Swabhava is just one of the energies